Hello everyone. For today's lesson, we're going to first of all review how we use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing length of a hypotenuse, and then we're also going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of a missing side length on a right triangle, as well as find the midpoint between 2 points. That's the halfway point. So I'm going to take you through that in today's lesson. At certain points, you'll pause and practice some problems in Nearpod. For this first one, since it's a right triangle, to find the missing length of the triangle, we use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where the side lengths are a and b. So we plug those in. And again, this is review for us in class. We plug in for a, we plug in for b, and we solve for our missing side length c, which is the hypotenuse right here. That's what we're trying to find. So 5 squared is 25, that's 5 times 5. 9 squared is 81 because 9 times 9 is 81. We add those together using calculator, mental math, whatever you choose. So it's going to be 106 equals c squared. And then we take the square root of both sides to solve for the missing side length. So it looks like it's going to be about 10 point something. We'll use a calculator to find that. So 10.295, so I'm going to say if it's 10.295, I'm going to call it 10.3. And we'll use the it's approximately symbol there. So the side length, the hypotenuse, is about 10.3. Okay, so this is what we've been practicing. We morphed this into the distance formula. We've been practicing this in class. So the new learning for the day is what happens if we have the hypotenuse and a leg and we're solving for a missing leg. And so that's going to be this next problem here. We have a right triangle and we're finding missing side lengths. So again, we can use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But in this case, we are given our c value right here. So this is our c, and this side length here, we can call it either a or b. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to call it a, and then this side will be our b. And so we plug in the values that we know and solve for what we don't. And so in this case, I will plug in 8 for a. So I have 8 squared plus b squared equals 14 squared. And so I go down and I simplify. 8 times 8 is 64 plus b squared. 14 squared. I'll use a calculator for that one. 14 times 14, 196. Okay, and this is where it gets different. We can't just add 196 to 64 and then take the square root. We need to solve for b. So in this next step, we need to get b squared by itself. In order to do that, we need to undo this adding of 64 on the left here. We're going to do that by subtracting this number from both sides of the equation, right, to keep it balanced. And when we do that, 64 minus 64 is 0, and so I'm left with b squared on the left, and on the right, 196 minus 64 is 132, okay? At this point, I take the square root of both sides just like I would do in the last problems. So b equals the square root of 132. Type that into my calculator, and it looks like I get 11.489, so 11.49 or 11.5. We'll go with b equals about 11.49. Okay, that is the length of our b. Now the way that you check here is the side lengths. These legs of the right triangle should always be shorter than the hypotenuse. So if this side is 11.49, I know that seems reasonable because if I came back and I plugged it in, would 11.49 squared plus 8 squared, would that equal 14 squared? Right? I'm doing some mental math, some mental checking to make sure that it works. If I went through this, I would feel very confident that it does turn out to be a true statement, but just a way that you could check. All right, at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to pause this video and you are going to complete problems number 1 and 2 on the Nearpod lesson.